You want to go over these playoffs?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know we missed it when it was announced, but I still think I mean, crazy to leave out Florida State, and I feel like it was just a big cop out from the committee.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like they didn't want to make a decision, so they just like, well, they just cut the team who lost their quarterback. And it's
I'm
like
gonna say. I'm
that's
gonna
kind of
say
how I
this.
look at it. That they didn't want to leave Alabama or Texas. It is like, okay, well, let's just leave out the team who lost the quarterback. I strongly feel that had if Texas was still a one loss team, but that one loss was to Bama and not Oklahoma, and Bama's one loss was to random school. I just
They would left out Texas.
exactly,
Yeah.
but they couldn't do that, in good. But I don't know. To me, I just hate the goalpost moving, and that's my biggest thing right there. Like the
Yeah.
whole best team, and I hate hearing these analysts go online all high and mighty saying, "Well, Florida State's not the best team. Look at how they played against Florida. Look at how they played against Louisville." If I'm not mistaken, they won both those games, and also they beat LSU Heisman Trophy winner
Yep.
Jaden Daniels.
They
By
beat
the way,
Florida in the SEC school.
they got that right. Yeah, they beat the SEC school. They, went undefeated ACC. They beat Louisville. They did everything that they're supposed to do. But you want to penalize just because they lose their quarterback, and I understand they might not be the best team anymore. But that's why I hate that terminology because it's such a cop out and it makes it so subjective when you're
I will.
picking these
I will
teams.
say, and this is my take on it. I understand the committee. Like you're in a tough spot, and if we're gonna be honest here, do I believe Florida State with Jordan Travis could make a run for the title? Yes. Without him, do I think they have a chance to win the title? No. I
Mm-mm.
say no. Does that mean that they shouldn't get in? No.
Exactly.
And the reason why I go with that is because I'll take it back to TCU last year. If the committee would have looked at TCU, especially after they lost the Big 12 title game, and said, you know what? This team can't win it. Like, we know this team is not going to win the national title. They don't have a shot to win it. If they would have left them out, then I think I would accept it more that you left out Florida State this year. Because then, just because, like, yes, we get it that you had this schedule, you went undefeated, but we don't pick teams and we stick with the like. Look, we believe these four are the best in the country. If they did that every single year, I
Yeah,
would not
it's
stick
it's
with.
it's the goalpost movie. It's basically like they do whatever fits, what works at that
Yeah,
time. Like my thing is this: if you're gonna say four best teams, right? And let's just leave it at that. Four best teams. One is subjective. You can't do that if you're lying and you say that. Two,
right,
though, how can you leave off Georgia in that situation? I don't think
exactly.
Georgia deserved to go to the playoffs. So let's get that out there right now. I don't think they deserve to be in the playoffs. I think Alabama has the bigger argument than Georgia since they won that head to head. But if we're talking best teams, I think Georgia is the best team in the country. So it's very close minded. Also about this argument, they criticized Florida State for how they played in their last couple of games. Didn't Alabama need a miracle to beat a
And
6-6 Auburn
absolute
team
yes.
who got boat raced by New Mexico State the week before? Let's not
Yep.
forget about that. New Mexico State beat them
Oh,
31-10 the week
oh,
before that.
remember, Auburn has struggled to throw the forward pass this whole season.
Yeah. So that's my thing. And again, I do think that the four teams that they pick will give us the best playoffs as far as competition and as far as ratings because I mean Texas is back. You know, that's a big school. Alabama, big school. Ohio State, not Ohio. I'm sorry, Michigan, and then you got Washington. So I mean, I do think that it's gonna be an exciting playoff. And then also my issue that I have as well um, is I feel like them pitting Florida State versus Georgia in a bowl game. It's a way for them to be like, you see, this is why we didn't pick Florida State because we know Georgia's gonna beat the crap out of Florida State probably. and I think
Yeah,
and I think it's going to give
it's
them
so
that.
unfair.
It's going to give them that validation of, oh, this is why we didn't do it. But in reality, you know,
It's so unfair
in
because
reality, it's not
you're
mutually
sitting.
exclusive. Like like just because they might get blown up by Jordan, what they probably will, doesn't mean that they don't belong in the playoffs. Like I
Well,
don't think
it's.
those two things are the same.
I think depending on how you pick it, and like I said, I'm a firm believer in consistency. Like I said, if you said every single year we want the best of the best, the best of the best, and the guys who've been through the fire, that's the teams that we want. And they consistently pick those four year in and year out. And had they done that again this year, I would say, well, you know what? The committee has shown this.
They shown, yeah, exactly.
And then I would have told you, like, hey, Trey, you know what? They stay consistent.
Do you remember like in year one, right? I remember when Mississippi State, because they had lost to Alabama, so they dropped to four, and so they were four going into the last week of the season. And Ohio State, were they kind of struggled most of the season. They had that bad loss against Virginia Tech. They beat Michigan, and then so the whole argument was, well, Mississippi State would have to win convincingly to keep that four spot because Ohio State being the conference champion will probably hold precedent, right? And that's
Right.
kind of how they kind of worded it. And then it was like, oh no, we don't care about conference champions no more. We only care about the best team. Like the goalpost moves
It
depending on
changes.
what narrative they want to push, and that's my issue. If you want to be consistent, I get it,
But I
because
also
because
will say,
because the argument that you gave with TCU is perfect. Like TCU, we said last year they were gonna drop some games, and they ended up not. They ended up just escaping every week.
yep,
But were they one of the four best teams? No, we knew that.
no, yeah.
But they earned their right to the playoff with their play, and that's what Florida State did. They earned their right
I,
with their play.
I don't know what else you can say. Now, I will say this. Next year, we won't ever have this problem again. Because once you get to teams 13, 14, 15, you're going to have a lot of wrong with your
Mm-hmm.
resume. I don't think you have. I mean, to be fair, who are the top 13?
12.
No, I'm saying like the reason I say the top 13 is because whoever that 13th team
Oh
is,
yeah,
I'm willing to bet has quite a few losses on their.
yeah. I mean, even now though, like I
Yeah, the
feel that
13th team would be LSU,
yeah.
who has three losses. So, like, by the time you get to 13, 14, 15, all of those three have three losses.
And really, realistically speaking, though, you got to go to number 12 because you got to add a group of five team.
Oh, so from 12,
So
wow.
a group of five team is going to jump.
Yeah, so from 12 to 15. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
So my
And
thing is this though,
12 is
like
Oklahoma.
yeah. So my thing is this though, like you telling me that Penn State or Ole Miss deserve a shot to play for a national championship,
And I
and
don't
that's
know.
and that's what's going to happen with 12th team playoff. That's why I don't like it, but it is what it is. Like I've made my arguments about that. I let it be known, but that is what it is.
I really
But
wish. Like, this is why I hate ESPN. You go to that site to look at the college football playoff rankings. Like, why you have ads? You're ESPN. I don't need overlay ads. Um, my guess is this: looking at that, like you said, Michigan, Washington, Texas, Bama, then Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Missouri, Penn State, Ole Miss, and then I don't know who that team would be. The small school, let's say Tulane. Um, it wouldn't matter. Yeah, like I think we forget, and this is before we move on. One thing people forget: this is not basketball, where oh, Steph Curry can have some magic, and he's gonna go crazy and drop 50 or 40, whatever he did against Georgetown. Like that happens in basketball. We see that in the tournament. Do people really believe if you line up Bama and Georgia against Tulane that Tulane's gonna win this game?
yeah, exactly.
you know, like we joke, but I've had this discussion with Rum before, and I think I've had it with you. Notre Dame, I don't think is an. I think they're a good program. I don't think they're as elite as they think they are. However, if you take Notre Dame's offensive line, those future Pro Bowlers at the rate that they go, Does anybody really believe that power running attack is not gonna just roll over UL Lafayette?
Yeah.
Because it's no longer UL isn't like, oh, we're going to South Bend to shock the world. This is our Super Bowl. No, no, no. This is playoff football. That Notre Dame team's gonna be amped up to play. They're gonna maul those kids. They I don't really understand. I never liked the idea of 12. I thought 6 was the best number.
Oh, I've always said that. I said like
I thought
I
if it
like
went to 8, I would
I was
accept
fine
it.
with 2, 4 was good, 6 was perfect, 8 would have been okay, 12 is too much. That's kind of how I
Yeah.
felt it.
At 8, I would have said, well, okay, fine, whatever. It makes it easy. 6, I thought was just perfect.
Yep.
You get those 2 bye weeks, and even if you wanted to just be like the NFL, where only the number 1 team gets a bye, you could have done that.
You could have done that and with 7, but I don't know you want to go with that way. But
It is. You could have done that, but it would have been a big deal. 6 would have been perfect.
actually, you know what? I would have liked that. That would have been interesting. Like, who's gonna be that number 1 team that's gonna get that bye? Everybody else is. That would have
That
been.
that would have been a huge advantage.
Yeah, that would have been
You know,
cool.
you get that extra week to prepare
Hmm.
while these teams are scrapping and battling, and you're
Like,
like,
and you can see the argument with like, well, this year I think Michigan would have been kind of a clear favorite number 1, but you can see that argument. Like, say if Georgia would have been undefeated, Michigan is like, who's gonna get that bye? You know.
because like you said, it's a huge help having that extra week to prepare and to watch. You get
Hmm.
to watch because it's a playoff game. Teams are going to use their best stuff
Yep.
for a playoff game. And you're sitting there and saying, nah, they've been holding this back all season. Or, they were doing this early in the year, and this is what they did these last couple of weeks. We got a game plan. I think that would have been just really, really good. But hey, on a less sour note, before we move on to the RPO, did you watch the NBA?